Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to discuss about pollination. We have already discussed about the male and female gametes in detail. And now we know the male gametes are produced in the pollen grains and the female gametes are produced in the embryo sac. And both type of gametes are non-motile. What is the meaning of non-motile? Not able to move. So they have to be brought together for fertilization. Now, how this fertilization could be achieved if both of the gametes are non-motile? Through a very important mechanism known as pollination. Okay, so pollination is the mechanism in which transfer of pollen grains take place. Okay, and these pollen grains we know are shed from the anther, right, to the stigma. What is stigma? We have already discussed about it is a sticky part of a pistil. Okay, so pollination is the mechanism in which transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of a pistil take place. Okay, all the flowering plants follow this mechanism. So in plants, pollination is basically of two types. First one is self-pollination and second one is cross-pollination. Okay. So in self-pollination, same plant is involved and pollen grains from anther to stigma of the same flower or another flower of the same plant take place. Okay. And in cross-pollination, transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of a flower on a different plant but of the same species take place. So let's talk about them in detail. First one is self-pollination. The self-pollination can be divided into two types. First one is autogamy. In this type, pollen are transferred to stigma of the same flower. Few conditions are needed for autogamy to occur. First one is bisexual, or we can say hermaphrodite. It means flower must have both stamen and carpel. Second thing, pollen and stigma must mature at the same time. And that is known as synchrony. And third is close proximity. Anther and stigma should be near each other for easy pollen transfer. Now, there are some mechanisms or adaptations that promote autogamy. First one is Cleistogamy. In this condition or in this adaptation, flowers never open and pollination is always by self, and it ensures guaranteed seed set even when pollinators are absent. These cleistogamous flowers never open and the pollen grains are trapped inside the same flower with the stigma. Since both the pollen and stigma are in close contact and mature together, fertilization always happens no matter what. Okay, so we can say that the plants will always produce seeds, even if there are no insects, no wind, or water movement, or even the environment is unfavorable. It always ensures guaranteed seed set. There are few examples of such flowers: oxalis, viola, and camelina. And second condition is Xenogamy. In this condition, flowers open normally and their reproductive parts are exposed.
So, in Casnogamous flowers, both cross pollination and self pollination are possible. Cross pollination can be achieved with the help of pollinators, and self pollination can occur if pollen falls directly on the stigma of the same flower of the same plant.
And examples are hibiscus, mustard, sunflower, and brinjal. What is the advantage of Casnogamy? First, it provides opportunity for cross-pollination, and cross-pollination increases genetic diversity. And at the same time, if cross-pollination fails, self-pollination can still occur, and it ensures seed formation. While in cleistogamy, flowers never open, so only self-pollination is possible. Okay, so this is the basic difference between both of them here. Only self-pollination can occur, and in Chasmogamy, both self-pollination and cross-pollination are possible. And point to be noted, cleistogamy is very useful in unfavorable environments because no insects are present in extreme seasons. So what are the advantages of autogamy? Guaranteed seed set. Even if no pollinator, insects, wind, water is available, plants reproduce, and it is important for species survival, right? It maintains pure lines because there is genetic uniformity. Pollen grains are coming from the same flower of the same plant, and it is also energy saving. No need to produce nectar, scent, or showy flowers to attract pollinators. What are the disadvantages of autogamy? No genetic variation, right? Because offspring are clones of the parent, and it may lead to accumulation of harmful mutations. And third disadvantage is less adaptability to environmental changes because no genetic variation is taking place. In Geitonogamy, transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower on the same plant take place. It looks like cross-pollination between two flowers, but genetically it is equivalent to self-pollination. Why? Because the pollen comes from the same plant. Okay, and examples are maize, sunflower, and coconut. We know maize have tassel and cob. Okay, the tassel is a male part that has anther, and cob is a female part that has stigma. Pollen grains from this region are transferred to the stigma of this region. So this condition, Geitonogamy, requires a pollinating agent. It cannot be achieved without pollinators because pollen grains have to be transferred to the another flower. but it is genetically similar to self-pollination. No new variation is introduced. So what are the advantages of Geitonogamy? It ensures pollination when cross-pollination is limited. It also maintains the purity of the plant's genetic line and it increases seed set. How? More flowers on same plant can be pollinated. And what are the disadvantages? No genetic variation, right? And adaptability is limited. Still needs pollinating agents unlike autogamy. The third one is xenogamy, and it is a type of cross-pollination. The self-pollination is of two types, autogamy and Geitonogamy. Now, second is cross-pollination, that is xenogamy. Here, transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of a flower on a different plant of the same species take place. Okay, we can say that in xenogamy, different plant is involved, but of the same species. Okay, cross-pollination or xenogamy ensures variation and genetic diversity because different plants are involved. It also requires agents of pollination like wind, water, insects, birds, pets. Okay, and examples are papaya, maize, coconut, and apple. Here you can see this is the example of a clistogamous flower. The flowers are not opened at all, and the chesmogamous flowers are open and they have exposed anthers and stigma. Clistogamous flowers have complete autogamy. There is no chance of cross-pollination. Now let's do a quick revision, okay? So here is a comparison between autogamy and xenogamy. Okay, we just discussed about three types: autogamy, geitonogamy, and xenogamy. Autogamy, same flower is involved, and not always agents are needed. And what is the genetic effect? There is a pure selfing and no variation, right? In Geitonogamy, different flowers are involved but of the same plant. Agents needed? Yes. And pollinators can be insects or wind. Genetically, they are similar because flowers of the same plant are involved and self-pollination is possible. Third one is Xenogamy, where different plant is involved. Agents needed? Yes. It cannot be possible without pollinators. And what is the genetic effect? There is a true cross-pollination, and this cross-pollination creates variation. So there is a genetic diversity. Monogamy is the only type of pollination which brings genetically different types of pollen grains to the stigma. So that's all for today. We will discuss about agents of pollination in our next class.